Hello. Today I will be presenting Busy Mart's risk management plan. And let's start off with the objectives of the plan. So the objectives of this risk management plan are, number one, to discuss the risks identified on the recent risk management, or rather recent risk assessment, and determine its impact on the business, the likelihood that these risks will happen, and the consequences if these risks are not treated or are not actioned. The second objective is to discuss the action plans and schedules that have been prepared in order to treat these risks. The third objective is to discuss the implementation and how the implementation of these action plans and how these risk action plans will be monitored. The fourth one will be to discuss the duty of care during the risk management process, and lastly we will discuss the evaluation, or how these risks, or rather these risk management processes, are being evaluated. All right, so let's get started. Now, during the recent risk assessment, Busy Mart LLC had taken into consideration the following factors in managing the risk that the company will face. Now, the first risk that has been identified is political, wherein changes in leadership, government policy, and other changes that affect the political climate of the country that will affect the decisions made by our leaders and lawmakers may affect the overall operations of the business. The next one is economic, wherein changes in supply and demand may pose a risk to Busy Mart's profits if not addressed accordingly. The third risk identified here is technological, wherein the emergence of clean energy and alternative sources of fuel may impact the sudden demand for petrol, which may potentially lead to decreased profits. The fourth one is social risk, wherein the public's awareness of clean energy and its impression on oil companies who are being labeled as irresponsible in taking care of the environment may lead to a change in product loyalty and a shift towards moving a competitor, which is an issue for Busy Mart since they only had an agreement with one oil firm to sell their products. And lastly, Busy Mart has taken into account the environmental risk, wherein air pollution, green gas productions, etc., will have or will pose a great risk, not just for the environment, but for the company as well, and at the same for the company at the same time, because of the potential threat of oil companies ceasing oil production. Now, of all the risks that Busy Mart has been able to identify, there are two risks that were highlighted and were taken into account. The first one is the shortage of grocery items and petrol. So Busy Mart is concerned that with a potential shortage of grocery items inside the convenience store and the shortage of petrol supplies can be risky. And the second risk identified here are robberies and other criminal activities that may happen within the station. Now, these risks are highlighted in this risk assessment matrix that was created for Busy Mart Chatswood Station. Now, please note that although the risks mentioned earlier will have a major consequence to the overall operations of the company, The shortage in petrol and consumer goods has been assessed as having a likelihood that it is possible to happen, while robberies are assessed as having a likelihood that it will likely happen. Now, I will go through the details of how these risks were assessed based on the likelihood and the consequence. So the first one is for the shortage of grocery items and petrol. It is likely that, or it was determined that it is possible for shortages in grocery items and petrol to fall due to the following factors. Number one, petrol prices continue to rise and fall. So if prices shoot up, orders may have to be halted because of costs. And if prices fall down, many vehicle owners will tend to flock the station to fill in their tanks, and chances are, if the supply is not replenished, then the pumps will be emptied. Now, another factor will be for the grocery items. So as most of the sales contribute to the consumption of grocery items within the convenience store, the station manager must see to it that its shelves and racks are filled in with every grocery item to ensure that consumers get to purchase these items all the time. Now, the consequence of having a shortage in petrol and consumer goods is that if this risk is not treated ahead, then the consequences are it'll be a loss in Busy Mart's daily and weekly sales. Customers may look or will look at other petrol stations to get their tanks filled up and consider making their purchases of food and other items at the competition or to the competitor. And this may lead to a reduction of Busy Mart's loyal customers. Now, we move on to the next risk that has been identified here, which are robberies and other criminal activities. Now, upon assessing, it is determined that robberies and other criminal activities are likely to happen at Busy Mart Chatswood due to the following factors. Number one, there's no security guarding the area, as the petrol station is an open facility. Number two, there could be a possible lack of police visibility in the area. Number three, the location of the cash register is located in an area that is within the culprit's reach. And number four, the location in which the station is situated may not be a good neighborhood. Now, if this risk is not treated ahead, the consequences of having these events from taking place inside the station will be it'll be a major loss in Busy Mart's sales, based on the number of days that the station will have to be closed temporarily, as investigations will have to be conducted. Number two, there will be a negative publicity in terms of how the public will perceive the station as a safe place. There could be laying off of staff because of the incidents, and worst case scenario will be the station will have to be closed down. So now that we have identified the risks in terms of their likelihood and the consequence if not treated accordingly, we have come up with a risk action plan that focuses on these two risks. So the risk identified here is the shortage in petrol and grocery items. So to sum it up, to ensure that there will be the action plan will be to ensure that there will be an inventory of grocery products inside the convenience store, and the store manager will have to inform the head office of any such shortages, and make sure that the suppliers are informed or will be notified to fill in the racks, in this case the repositories, if in case the supply of petrol and consumer goods tend to tend to go down. So the proposed actions are to conduct a weekly inventory of all items of stock for the convenience store, and to check the supply level of petrol, contact suppliers and inform them of the station's request to replenish stocks in advance, to begin looking for other potential suppliers of grocery items, and to notify the head office about it, and have a look at their proposals. And number 4, start planning on keeping an excess order of supplies that can be put into the shelves quickly the moment stocks on display begin to run out. Now, the resource requirements are the store manager's time to do the inventory list, of course, a telephone and a stock room to keep the stocks until they get to be taken out to be filled on those empty racks. All right. Now, the responsibility of the store manager is basically to perform an inventory of the items, to ensure that there are enough items for sale the following week. The store manager will also check the levels of petrol supply in its repositories, and to determine if there's enough petrol that can be sold before calling the supplier to fill in the tanks, and to have the suppliers deliver the much needed goods as soon as possible. So for the timing, the petrol supplier will have to be notified once the store manager has determined that the level of petrol in the repository is not enough or has reached its critical level, and that consignees will be notified on the 5th day of every other week. And for monitoring the progress, the store manager will contact the petrol supplier upon confirmation that the supply level has reached its critical point, and the store manager will contact the consignees to make the delivery every 5th day of the week and the week after. And this is the risk action plan for addressing the shortages, or the shortage in petrol and grocery items. Now, in addressing the second risk, which is robberies and other criminal activities, the action plan here is to ensure that the safety and security of the staff and customers is maintained. So a security system will be put into place. There will be coordination with the local police to have a patrolling police car stop by at the station from time to time, and to hire security personnel who will oversee the station and make sure that the station is kept safe. So proposed actions are, number 1, CCTVs and security systems will be put in place throughout the station. The store manager will coordinate with local police to have the area patrolled at least twice a week. A small vault will be put in place in an area that is not visible to any suspicious person within the store, so that all the monies coming from the sales from the convenience store will be put there, and the location, as I've said, will be addressed to ensure that it's not visible to prying eyes. And lastly, we'll consider hiring a security guard to keep watch on the convenience store. So the resource requirements needed to address this risk are CCTV systems, security personnel, telephone, of course, to touch base with the local police, a small vault, and yes, if need be, security guard. So the responsibility of the store manager will be to coordinate with the head office on the procurement and installation of CCTVs and other security systems within the station. Store manager will coordinate with the local police and touch base with them from time to time if if no one's patrolling the area. Now, if in case a robbery or similar event is about to take place or has happened, then the store manager will simply dial a quick number that will easily direct him or connect him to the police. And all the monies from the cash register will be put into the vault so that there won't be too much money lying in the cash register, which may tend to lure potential criminals from staging a robbery. So for the timing, local police will patrol the area at least twice a week. Recordings of CCTV footages will be stored daily and will be kept at the station for 6 months before transferring all footages to the head office for to be kept in the archives. And if a security guard will be hired, then a logbook will be given or will be produced, and all activities that is happening every day in the store will be documented. Now, in terms of monitoring the situation or monitoring the plan, the risk action plan, the store manager will report to the local police if there had been or if there has not been any visible police patrolling the store manager will report to the local police if there has not been any police visibility, or if there has not been a patrol that had dropped by at the station for at least 2 weeks. And CCTV footages will be reviewed every week before keeping it in the storage. And lastly, for security personnel, the security personnel will report to the store manager every week. And the next slide shows the risk treatment schedule, which basically summarizes what has been discussed on the risk action plans. Please take note, though, that for these two columns, the risk rating before treatment and risk rating after treatment, this was based on the rating that the risk has been identified based on the risk assessment matrix. So if the risk rating before treatment for the shortages in petrol and convenience or grocery items was rated high because of the major consequence and the likelihood that it's possible to happen. So once the treatment has been in place, it is expected that the risk rating for this risk will be low. So it is expected that the risk rating will be reduced from high to low, and the cost benefit in terms of cost benefit analysis, it is an acceptable solution to the problem. And for the second risk, it is also expected that the risk rating before treatment, which is labeled extreme, will be reduced to low after once the treatments have been put in place. And it is, in terms of cost benefit analysis, it is also considered as acceptable. Now, please take note that for the person responsible in implementing these risk management or risk action plans, the person responsible for it will be Shane, who is the store manager. And since we're talking about responsibilities as well, workplace health and safety legislation dictates that a PCBU, or a person conducting a business or undertaking, will have to be designated to ensure that workplace health and safety guidelines are being followed and implemented. So in this case, Shane, who is the store manager, is being designated as a PCBU for Chatswood Busy Mart Station. PCBU once again means person conducting a business or undertaking. Excuse me. Now, in accordance with the WHS laws, Shane must see to it that his staff are working in a safe and secured environment. Now, Shane must also see to it that his staff knows about the potential hazards of working at a petrol station, and that proper training and proper knowledge of safety guidelines in proper handling of hazardous chemicals are up to date. And lastly, all staff must see to it that they report to Shane any potential hazards that can be identified within the petrol station premises. It means that if there's a risk, if there's a potential risk that Shane's staff is able to identify within the premises of the petrol station, the staff must report it directly to Shane as soon as possible. Now, after having these risk action plans in place, and after having having implemented them, and with the proper monitoring and follow-up, the use of the risk assessment matrix during the risk assessment has allowed Busy Mart to identify the risks that petrol stations may face, and allows the management to assess the gravity of each risk identified and its impact in the overall operations of the business. And the risk action plans that are made will not make the risks identified to go away. The risks will still be there. However, the plans or the risk action plans that have been in place will help reduce or minimize the impact that the consequences of these risks will pose on the company, and the likelihood that these risks will occur. And with that ends my presentation on managing risks. Thank you very much, and have a good weekend.